Hey guys, welcome. So this is gonna be a quite new thing for me because so far the classes that we've been having it has been in physical circumstances, and this one is online. So we might have a bit of technical and other issues to iron out, but we will do our best to make sure that we provide the final class as we were expecting to. So yeah. So once again, welcome. This is the final class of a series of 4 classes that we've had. So far, we've covered Python. We've covered Introduction to Python. We covered Intermediate Python. In the third class, we were talking about Introduction to Front-End Development. And today's class is going to be basically geared towards talking more deeply about, or a reintroduction to what HTML is. We'll be talking about CSS for styling. And once we go through this core theory stuff, we'll be jumping into a project where you guys will code along with us, just to just practice what we've been learning in terms of theory and give you guys a sense of confidence in your ability to actually create this on your own and not just watch me on the screen. So in terms of the things that we are going to be going over today, I have some slides. Bear with me, they're very few. So, if you haven't been part of the previous classes before and you are joining brand new, I'll just do a bit of a refresher. Um, in broad terms, when we are talking about, let's say, applications, or let's say web applications, because there are many other applications like mobile applications, etc., etc. But if we are focusing only on the web application side of things, we normally have two aspects to these apps. So we have what we call the front end, which is everything that you as the user would see on a web application. An example of web application is if you go to Amazon.com, right? We call this a website, but it's so much more than a website because a normal website is something that just provides you with content once you click on, a page. But Amazon, as you know, is so much more than that. They've got like buttons that you can click to log in. They are able to provide discounted pricing, personalized pricing. You can choose different variants of products. You can get discounts, apply discount codes. There's a whole lot of things that is going on this Amazon platform that makes it so much more than a website, which is why we call it a web application, right? And because you as a consumer is clicking and seeing content, we call this the front end. Another name to call the front end is called the client surfacing side. So the client, because this is what the client sees, right? So you as a user right now are looking at YouTube, and YouTube has, you got the video screen, you've got the search bar at the top, you've got the search button right next to it, you've got content that you might, that YouTube recommends that you watch on the right side of your screen. This is all the front end of the application that is called YouTube, right? But this is not the only part. All this data about the videos, all this, search input that you enter into the search bar, and when you press search, it has to go somewhere. And it goes somewhere that we call the backend. And the backend is basically where all the magic happens, let's say, right? So whenever a client from the front end says, hey, I want to search for air fryers on Amazon, let's say, and you press search, the moment that you do that, the front end sends the back end a message saying, hey, this user, let's say Kishore Kanjaganathan, is using or looking for an air fryer, and he has a history of searching for this. So the backend collects all this information and does some thinking and then sends a request to match, and it sends the response back to the front end with a lot of data. And this data contains information about air fryers, the different types of air fryers, the air fryers that I might like based on my search history, the prices, etc., etc. Right? So it's quite simple. So it's like, when you go to a shop, you are the client, you have something in your mind, and you go and you talk to somebody on the front staff and you say, hey, I'm looking for, I don't know, a bandage that is waterproof. So this person that is at the till, he's the client. So he goes from the front end, which is, the front of the shop, to his storage facility in the back of the shop, maybe talk to somebody who knows about where the waterproof bandages are, and the guy in the back, who is the back end in this instance, gives him the bandage, and this bandage is brought forward to me, who is waiting for the bandage, by the person who is in the front, the customer service agent. So basically, this is what happens in software as well, right? So in the first 2 3 classes, we covered backend, because this is quite heavy. Um, and this week we're going to be covering the front end, and the front end is a combination of three things, um, or some would call it three languages, but there are different opinions on what is a language and what is not. Anyway, we have what we call HTML. You might have heard of this. This is the backbone of a lot of websites, almost all the websites. HTML is what we consider, let's say, the skeleton of the internet. It is what the front end is based on. Consider this, consider a human. We can call this the skeleton. And if we were to like, but just HTML alone purely is not that very pretty. So you would not, we are very visual creatures as humans, and we tend to move and click and interact with websites and web applications that are pretty looking, right? Number one, it has to look good, otherwise we're not going to be looking at it. So to make the website that is created out of HTML pretty, you got to make sure that it's pretty, it has some styling, right? And we do this by something called CSS. It's another tool in our toolbox. And finally, we have JavaScript, which is a fantastic language that I really fancy. And this is what we call, if we were to, stick to our human example, this would be something like the brain or the central nervous system that makes the body work, right? Because if you have HTML and you have CSS, okay, great, you have a website, it looks good. But if a user clicks something, you expect something to happen, right? So if a user comes to the search bar and types something and press search, you expect the web application to do something. But if it only has HTML and CSS, it's not going to happen. To make the search function happen, to take what the user entered into the search bar and send it to the backend, you need JavaScript, right? So we need the HTML, which is the skeleton of the internet, per se. And then we have CSS, which adds a little bit of styling on top of this HTML to make it look pretty. And then finally, we have JavaScript, which the user would not see. But when he interacts with the page, when they click a button and the drop down opens, or when you click something and a pop-up happens, or you enter something into the search bar and press search, or you're on Amazon and you see a, a boot that you like, or sneakers that you really like, and you want to see if it's available in green color, and you press the green color, and then it fetches the green color boot of what you were looking at. All of this happens with JavaScript, which is why it's you know super important part of front-end development. Now, enough talking about these three. Let's go deep and start looking into what is HTML. Now, in HTML, there are several important, let's say, phrases that I want you guys to remember. And the most important of them is what we call tags, right? And we have different tags that allow us to structure a website. And these tags allow us to structure a website in a manner that is similar to, let's say, um, something that looks like this. So any website that we look at will have content, right? There might be a table of content. So there might be, ooh, what's happening there? So there might be some, links at the top, and there might be a logo here or a banner, and there might be some content here, there might be some content here, and a footer at the bottom, right? And this is based on the premise that websites have to have an order, right? They have to be programmed in a way that it makes sense for Google to come and search across it, right? And it's like when you're writing an essay in high school or university or wherever, right? When you at the top you write the title, and this title is usually in a bigger font and it's in bold, yeah, because this is how we produce that the words that you're writing belong to a title, so that whenever somebody starts looking at your paper and they see this bold thick font, they know that, okay, this is the title. And then you have maybe a subtitle, but the subtitle is much smaller than the bigger title, right? It might be a secondary title, and this is bold but of a reduced size when compared to the main title. And then you have the paragraphs inside under this subtitle, let's say, right? And these paragraphs are going to be in a normal font, and they're not going to be in bold, yeah. So the same principle applies when we are talking about creating web pages for the internet. Now, this is a rather simplistic analogy, but it's a working analogy. So this is how I want you guys to think about how we create web pages, because it has to have an order. And this order is created out of the good use of what we call tags, which you guys are looking at right now. Now, there are several tags, and I will go through them one by one with an example to show you guys what I'm talking about. Now, the first tag that I want to talk about is something that we call the A tag. And the A tag is what we use. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my VS Code, which is basically a program that we use to write code. So do not worry too much about this. This is something that we call boilerplate. Boilerplate is basically code that remains the same. Like this is our starting, this is our template, right? So no matter what application that we develop, we always, for example, if you want to develop a website or a web application, we always start with something like this, right? These have to be inside the website or web page that you're creating. And I have this code. This will be shared with you later on for you by Paulo, who is going to be taking the second half of this class, because he's going to be taking you guys through an example that you will work with. But for now, don't worry about writing code or anything along those lines. Let's just work through the tags, so that when you do the actual example, you'll be in a better position to create your web application. So this right now, this whole black half of the screen that you're looking at is what we call a terminal. And this terminal is opened on Visual Studio Code, which is another application. It's a desktop application that we use to write code, basically. So what happens here is, right now, whenever I type something over here and I do save, you can see it on the other side of my screen. Yeah. And this is, let's say, a website. Now right now, this website is running on my local computer. But once I develop this and I'm very satisfied with the application or the website that I just created, I think, okay, now it's time to release to the internet, and I do that. But for now, we have to first develop this website in our machine locally. So let's talk about the tags that we learned, right? We were talking about something called the A tag. Let's let's do some investigation into what this A tag is. Now, every tag, when we are writing HTML, starts with uh, an opening tag, which is this, and a closing tag, which is this. Now you can see what is the closing tag and what is the opening tag by looking at where this slash is. So whenever this is there, that means the tag is closed. Whenever this is not there, that means you're opening a tag, right? So remember, this tag is super important, and you will see that this is reflected. So we have head opening tag and a head closing tag. We have a opening tag for title and title, body and body. Don't worry about what body, head, and title means right now. The most important thing is the A tag for now. So the A tag is basically a programmer's way of creating a link, right? Now, all of you know what a link is. It's something on a website that you go and click on and it takes you somewhere else, right? We can do that. We can add links onto this website that we are now creating. Let's maybe make this happier. Hello, this is our first website. Maybe we can add some emojis. All right, let's see what we got. Great. So let's go and add some content here. Okay, link to BBC. Okay, and let's save it over here. Ooh, let's maybe, okay, let's just remove this for now. Now, this link to BBC should ideally be clickable, right? Because we just said we are producing a tag. We want to write a tag, and we wrote link to BBC. So ideally, it should take us to BBC when we click. But right now, it doesn't do that. And why that is because we didn't tell this link where to go. So when somebody comes and clicks on this link, when somebody comes and clicks on this A tag, we should take them to this specific place, right? So how we do that is by entering something called href, right? And if we want to take a user to BBC homepage when they click on this, what we gotta do is we gotta go and maybe let's take this and let's add that over here. And voila, you instantly see that something happened to the link, right? We've got now link to BBC, and if I click on it, it's going to take us to BBC. Whereas if I didn't have this, it would pretty much be dead, right? So whenever we want to make sure, so for example, let's do this with another example. If I want to go to verge.com, right? Verge.com, where is it? There you go. Whoa, what is that? What is the Verge? There you are. It's called theverge.com. It's basically a tech site that I like reading about new tech stuff. So link to The Verge, as they call themselves. No, we need to have now. Let's see. Right now, it's going to be a dead link because we are not adding an href link. And if you want to make it come alive, we basically put Why is it he's complaining because we need double quotes? Okay, there you go. And we come to the verge. Pretty cool, right? And we can add as many h links as we want. So if I want to do, no, you know what? Let's try something new. Where shall we send this to? Where shall we send this to? We can send it to running out of websites. Let's see. Marvel. Let's see. Okay, let's go to marvel.com. Yeah. All right. So go to Marvel website. As you can see over here, we just, have this go to Marvel website. It doesn't do anything for us. For it to come alive, we gotta add the link, the href link, and there we go. It takes us to Marvel movies. And that is basically all that we need to know about the A tag right now. I'm going to leave this over here. I'm going to delete this so that it looks a little cleaner, but let's leave the verge over here, right? Let's go talk about the other tags right now. The navigation tags. Now, the navigation tag is nothing too special. It's basically a tag that we call is a wrapper tag, let's say. Its only job is to basically wrap around tags that you want to tell your search engine or usually Google on what part of your website consists of the navigation, right? Because Google is, you know, Google robots basically index your website. And it's important for us to make sure that our website is easily discoverable and easily searchable or indexable by the robots from Google, because this means that our website or web application ranks higher, right? Because ranking high on search engine results is super important, because when the last time any of you clicked on a website that is on the fourth page of Google search, right? Everybody or all the brands in the world want to be on that first page because this is where most of the traffic comes from. So if you as a website is serious about making money and being discovered by your users, you got to make sure that Google indexing robots like your website. And for them to like your website, you got to make it easily navigatable. So how we do that is by, so if we have, for example, let's say that we have, I'm just going to copy this several times, right? Let's copy this several times. And if all of this content, right, if all of these links is what you consider your navigation links, you need to put it or you need to wrap it by a nav tag. Now, an example of a website that has done this is Marvel, right? As you can see, over here, you have these links. Right now, when you hover over them, you see these drop downs, and this drop downs is not happening because of HTML or CSS. It's happening because of JavaScript, right? Now, if I was going to go and investigate the tags over here, let me just maybe do that. If I go and investigate the tags over here, number one, you will see that these tags are A tags. You can see it over here, right? But most importantly, you should be able to see that somewhere in there, there is a navigation. Let me close this. Whoa. Somewhere in there, there should be, there we go, a nav tag. So basically what's happening here is that this is a nav tag. Basically what has happened here is that they have covered this whole, they have wrapped all of this content, this sign in, Marvel, search bar, these news, comics, characters, etc., 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 with what we call a navigation tag. You see, all of this content is wrapped by a navigation tag purely because we want Google to know that this is where the navigation content is, right? And the Google robots come, they index this, they know this is the structure of the website, so that whenever a user is searching for something, they're able to give much better results, right? Because the quality of the results are important for anybody who is using Google. The next tag that I want to talk about is something that we call the header, right? Now, the header is usually another wrapper, and this wrapper is used for wrapping component or content that you think is the most, let's say, it's content that you need to highlight in your website. Sometimes it might be a banner like what you see over here, right? So this is a banner because it's the first thing that you see as soon as you come to the website. But some websites also do this thing where they wrap the nav with a header tag. As you can see, Marvel has done this. So I think if it's good enough for Marvel, I think we can also maybe try doing this. So let's do this again. Let's wrap it. Okay, so what happened here is that we created some links that we want to tell Google is the core links of our page. And then we wrapped it with a nav tag to make sure that Google knows that these are the navigation content. And then we wrap this navigational content with a header because we also want to tell Google that this is quite important. This is presentationally one of the most important bits of our website. And that's pretty much it when it comes to header. Let's talk about H1 tags. Now, when you are in university, you know remember this example that I told you guys about how when we are writing an essay, we have titles, subtitles, etc., etc. The same applies in websites. And how we add an important tag or the most important, how we produce the most important title of a page is by wrapping it with an H1 tag. And we can do that and we can add anything that we want. This is the most important title of the page, and you will see that, right? Now observe how this content, this H1 tag, the content that is wrapped with the H1 tag is in bold and is in a much bigger font than, for example, the A tags, right? And this is because HTML is smart enough to know that, hey, if it's an H1, this stuff is important. You got to make sure that the user is that the user sees, you know, the content in a bigger font, and that it's bold, it's bigger, and it's, you know, produced as, you know, big high quality text. Now this is H1, and remember, it's a good practice to always only have one H1 in any page because there can only be one super important tag. However, you can also have H2 tags. This is a little less important tag, right? Let's just, okay. Now you can see how H2 just became a whole lot smaller than H1. And that is purely because H2 is categorically and, you know, in our heads, not H1. It's not as important. So because of the lack of importance, it's given slightly less size, but still bold. Now, if we did the same thing with, for example, H3, you will see that it's even smaller, right? And this pattern continues until h6. Let's try to do an h6, right? Because we only have 6 tags with h. H is standing for heading here. This is the smallest heading tag. Let's take a look at how small this is. There we go. It's as small as the A tag. And that's purely because tags that are h6 is a denotion or a symbol of titles that are not as important when compared to, for example, h1. Yeah. So that is one. That is the h tags. Now, the div tag is one of the tags that we use very, very often. It's almost used everywhere. And this is also, again, another, let's say, presentational tag, right? It's a wrapper tag. Um, we put other tags inside this tag. We don't write content per se inside it, but we wrap other tags like we saw with header and navigation. So let's see what we can do with it, right? If we wanted to, right, we can put um, we can put each of these hashtags in a separate. So right now you will see that previously when we didn't have the div tag surrounding h or a tag over here, all of this, the content looks like this. It's not one after another, they are lying next to each other. However, if we start wrapping these a tags with div tags, you will see that they start taking their own space, right? Now this is something called the block model, but I will not go too deep into it. The important thing to remember here is that the div tag is a tag that allows us to separate or segment content, right? And that's what's happening, as you can see, because right now the a tags that were joined together, smooshed together, just started taking up space of their own. And this is happening purely because this is a tag that allows you to segment content. Now, to segment content, we need content, right? And another tag that we use very, very often is called the p tag. And the p tag is basically standing for paragraph, right? So remember the school essay example. We have titles, we have links, we have a big h1 title and subtitles, etc., etc. And we also need to have paragraphs inside content. It's not enough to have just titles, you also got to have content. And this content is usually wrapped by something that we call the p tag, which stands for paragraph. And we can write anything we want inside there, as it can be as long as you want. And I'm just going to remove these so that maybe we will keep only the h1 so that you guys can see. As you can see, it says, hi, I'm a paragraph. And we can add as many paragraphs as we want. There's no barrier against it. I am a second. English is a little shoddy today. There we go. And we have this over here. So as you can see, this paragraph can be right under a h1. It could be wrapped with a div. And we just need to style it a little bit. Usually in programming, we have something called linters that basically does the styling for you. I just forgot to enable it over here, which is why sometimes you might see me adjusting the, things like this by myself, but usually it's handled by your terminal for you. And if we wanted, we can also have this h1 over here, or we can leave it over here and say h2, I am the title of a section, and you can see it over here. So this is what we call, if we call this content, this is the title of the content, this is the first paragraph of the div content, and this is the second paragraph. However, right now this website is just text and maybe some links. It's not looking very exciting. It's not very visually pleasing, right? We need to, bring some life into it. Let's do that by adding an image, because, we are humans are rather visual. And let's search for some cute dog pictures. Oh, I do like Shiba Inus. Let's see whether we can get this image. Pinterest. Okay, I do quite fancy Labradors, so let's see whether we have Labrador pictures. Yep, this looks like it. Oh, this looks like a good fit. Right, so do we have a link? I don't know, let's find out. Okay, this is also from Pinterest, which doesn't really allow us to. This guy looks happy. All right, copy link address. Okay, let's take this image, copy image address. There we go. We got the image. So to bring this cute puppy over to our, now remember, if you are working on your own website, you have to make sure that you're licensed to use the images. Do not use other people's images in your website with the giving. If it's not, if you use it, give credit. If you have to pay for it, you gotta pay for it. But right now, for example's sake, I'm going to be using this image. And let's say that, we want to introduce this puppy in this section, right? My name is Robocop. He is quite young, so right. So let's go back to our demo website and let's add this picture. And we add pictures by what we call an image tag, and this is what IMG stands for. And unlike other tags, the image tag opens and closes by itself. So what I mean by that is that it doesn't have an separate open and close tag. It has only itself. So don't worry too much about it. All you have to know is that to produce or to register an image tag, it has to look like this. So open it and then just add this backslash in there. But right now, adding this is not enough. It doesn't really do much because we didn't specify what kind of image to show, right? And we do this by adding src and then the name or the link of the image. Oof, I think this website. Yeah, so the image was a little big, but as you can see, he's here. Let me maybe find a smaller picture to ensure that you guys can see it. So cute Labrador picture has to go, and he will be replaced by a husky. I think so. Blue eyes. Yeah. So as you can see, this is how we integrate images onto our website. And you can do this as many times as you want. You can, add 20 image tags if you want with images, and it'll still display. Yeah. Um, okay. So what's happening here is, so what we looked at right now is HTML and the tags associated with it, right? And HTML is, as I said earlier, it's the foundational. It's what the internet is built on. It's what websites are built on, and you don't need to be, fantastic at it. You don't need to think too hard about what goes where. This is something that, as you practice, you get better at it and better at it and better at it. Um, what is a good point to start is just, opening up the page. You will do this very shortly with Paulo, and just making sure that you practice this. And, you know, that's really all you need to get started. And I think that if you understand the core of the HTML that we just looked at over here, you should be more than fine, really. Because, in my day-to-day life, I mostly use a tags, nav, header, h1, h6, div, p, image, footer. There's a few other more like section and other tags, but uh, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention this tag. I will talk about it soon. But, the amount of tags that are not here is not as important as the ones that you're looking at right now. These tags are the ones that we use the most often. And if you understand all of these and you get a good grasp of how to work with these, the importance of making sure you have the correct tags, so that Google will come and search your website as they should. Um, yeah, so once you have this understanding, I think you guys will be in a really good position. To talk about this footer tag, basically, it's quite simple. Remember how I talked to you guys about the header tag? It's the same, but I mentioned that header tag is the tag that you want to write and wrap content with so that Google will know what is at the top. Whereas the footer is the exact opposite. The footer tag is basically a wrapper tag again. And we use this to tell Google that this is the content that is at the bottom of the website. Link at the bottom of the website. And if you go down, you should be able to see this, right? Now, this footer should never be added over here, and the header should never be added over here, because this is bad structuring of your website. And this confuses Google. And the last thing you want is to confuse Google and other search engines, because these guys rank you, right? So if you want your website to be visited by users as much as you want them to, because users equal income perhaps in your line of business, you got to make sure that you structure your website properly as you should. Right. So I think we've spent quite a fair bit of time on talking about HTML. I'm quickly going to jump into some very, very basic methods of styling the content that we have just seen, right? And to style, if you remember, we need CSS. And how do we add CSS? Well, we do that by adding CSS uh, at, at the top and making sure that it's linked. So let's do that right now. I'm gonna delete this. So I'm just gonna introduce a new tag for you guys, and it's called the style tag. The style tag is what I'm going to be inside the style tag, which is placed at the top of the page, as you see right now. I'm going to be adding styles. right? And whatever style that I will be adding over here will be reflected in the content over here, or rather over here, right? So let's say that I want to pick the heading of this page, which is this right now, and I want to make it, let's say, what's a nice color? I don't know, yellow. So what I would do is I would say h1, because remember, this is h1 after all. And then I would put brackets, and I would say, I would give it a property, and we call this a property, right? Let's give it, maybe not yellow, yellow green color, right? And there we go. When I saved, this became yellow green as I specified over here. Now, several things to remember. Look at here. Now, remember, whenever I wanted to add styling, what I did is I created a style tag at the top of the screen, or my code, and I have some empty space. And if I want to, like I want to right now, if I want to color the h1, what I do is I specify what I want to color, right? So in this case, in this scenario, it's the h1. And then we open brackets because this is the convention. And then we tell the code what part of this h1 do we want to, or what property of this h1 heading do we want to update or upgrade, right? So in my scenario, I don't like the color, which is black. So I want to change it to aqua, and it does that, right? Let's imagine that, this title is quite large, and I'm not a big fan of large fonts. So what do? We have a property called font size, and we can make it, let's say, medium. And there we go. That changed immediately. Perhaps I'm feeling fancy and I want to add a background color, which is another property of h1. And the background color that I like might be this color. Okay, it's not that great, but this is the basic premise of CSS, right? You have you pick what you want to style, you open this brackets, and then you put the property, and then you put the detail that you want to update. Yeah, let's imagine that I want to, okay, this image was too big, right? I had a problem previously with the image. So what do? I resize it, and we do that by picking the image tag. If you remember, this is the image tag. So I put it up here, I open the brackets, and I say height. What can I do? Maybe I want to make it 200 px. Now px is it stands for pixels. Just like, in real life, we use inches, centimeters, meters, kilometers to measure, distance and size of things. In front-end development, we use several other measurements. So one is px, another one is rem. There's also VW and all of that stuff. But for now, we will focus on using px because it's slightly easier. As you can see, the image just became smaller because I specified that I wanted to be 200 px. If I'm still not too happy, I could make this 150. Whoa, not 1500, 150, and it became smaller. I want to make it 100. I can do that, right? If I'm not happy with the h2, because right now h1 is smaller than h2, that's not really, great structuring of our website. So let's change it. So if h1 was font size medium, perhaps we want to make sure that over here in h2 font size is small. There we go. And if h2 is this size, we don't want the paragraphs to be this big, right? So let's update this because we want to make sure that everything is in tip-top shape. Font size extra small, but smaller than small, extra small. And there we go. Now remember, only the piece changed. The content within the footer didn't change because we did not target it. Now, of course, there are, and remember, you can also, change whatever you want. These properties are available in, for example, P as well. If I want to change the background color of this, I can do that, no worries. If I want to increase the height of the p tags, I can also do that. As you can see, I just made it 20px. I can make it 50px if I wanted to, right? There's a lot of customization ability over here that really, like, there are no limitations. You just got to make sure that it looks good, right? So this is, I feel, a good introduction to CSS, at least the CSS that you'll be working with today. I hope that you guys understood what we were going with and what we're trying to do. But if there were moments where you were not too sure about what I'm doing or you were confused, don't worry too much about it. At the end of this lecture, we are going to have some space for you guys to ask questions. If you have questions about, okay, great, how do we do this? We will assist there. If you have questions on what's next after this class, if you really want to become a programmer and you want to know, okay, this was a good start, what do I do next? How do I, upgrade my skills? Feel free to ask those questions. But for now, I'm going to be passing the baton to Paulo, who will be taking you guys through an exercise, which is basically geared to help you understand what we just covered right now with me. Paulo, over to you.
Thanks, Kishu. Very useful, all of the review on the tags. And as Kisho said, by the way, we did it before in the last class, but it's a nice review and just to also warm up our minds on the tags. Good. So yeah, let's go then on the exercise. Our idea on the exercise is not something like complicated, but something more simple but useful as well. So I'm going to share my screen. Just to show what we are going to do. So yeah, the idea is pretty much do something like only one page, listening some nice cafes in Poznan, right? So my idea is to, in the end, we create some page like that. We might not have enough time, but even so, the structure and knowledge is something that what is worth and what we are going to do a walkthrough on. Okay. So right, let's start in the beginning. I need to reshare actually my screen. Let's see. All right, good. So here is my, I'm going to close this one behind, and this is my visual VS Code. So it's empty. So let's create a new file here, but like instead of create a new file, let me open a folder. I'm going just to click on desktop. I'm just creating a folder with the name of Poznan cafes /cafes and open. Just because I'm going to store my code here. Right. So let me open full here. And to start, we are going to create like a empty file. Let's call it like cafes.html. And here we will like put our boilerplate, as Kisho said already, something that it's like always the same when we are doing some HTML page, but just to do like a kind of walkthrough, I'm going to write it by myself. Okay, so let me open the HTML tag, and inside of HTML tag, I'm going to add a head tag and body tag. So this is pretty much the boilerplate. In the top, usually we do this, we add like a doc type as HTML. And here in the opening of HTML tag, we add also this property, the language, because we wanted to inform to our browser, so like Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, you name it, which language our text is using here. Okay, and to start, let's add the in the head the title, not time. Sorry, let me add the tag title and name it as Poznan Capes. Good. And in the body, using the tags that Kishu already teach us, we are going to create like a first div, and in the body we will use like the h1 tag as well, and also doing here like adding the name Poznan Cafés. It's always important to mention that this title here it's different than this one, right? Like this title here is the title on the that you will see on like on top of the browser, while this one it's in the context, because like this is in the body, this is in the head, right? So just to show it working, let me run it. So I'm going to clicking on the top of my VS Code. There is a button called like start debugging. This is one way. And then I choose my web browser. I'm choosing like Google Chrome, and it's open. So this is my page. So yeah, this is our first HTML page so far. Congratulations, we are moving forward. But it's funny, like when I wrote like cafes here with this punctuation, you see that it's kind of broken here, right? What does it happens? It happens basically because we should uh, let the browser know which encoding we are using. So I'm not going deeply explaining what encoding uh, means, but usually we use in the like Occidental South America, we use like our kind of language. We use UTF-8 encode, and to to let the browser know that we are using this, we need to add this meta tag. So just open meta and set and using the attribute char set and adding the code that we are going to use here. So basically that, like Kisho said, it's it's a boilerplate. You don't need to care about that, but it's important to you know. So if I save here and rerun, it should work. Let me, oh, sorry. No, let me just refresh. It's not working. Let me close and run it again. Okay. Hmm, it's not working. Let's see why. Char set UTF-8. Supposed to work. It's inside the head. UTF-8. Supposed to work. It's not a typo. Let me write again just to see why what I maybe miss here. Oh yeah, I got it. I write UFT. It's UTF. It matters because the UTF it's a real encoding, while the another one it's not. So let's run it again. So it's working now. You see, like Poznan cafes is in the right way. So yeah, okay. Again, it's a boilerplate. No worries so far about that, but this is something that you need to be aware. If you are like creating a Chinese page, it might change. So yeah, good. So far so good. Let me then we let like move forward on the listing of the cafes. So we have here this box like this div. Let's create another one where inside this we are going to add like all of the cafes that we wanna list. Okay. So in the first div, I separated some cafes names. So let me copy here. The first one is this Lavenda Cafe. As far as I remember, all of them it's real cafes in Poznan. So it's good. You can go there. Kaviarna. This is another one. Let me add maybe four, just to have like a nice view. The another one is this Itace Radio, and the last, maybe the last one, yeah, Cacao Republica. So yeah, supposed to be our like first real cafes page. So yeah, we have like a Poznan cafes and the names of cafes. Like it's okay, there is information, but again, like we are visual, we need to have also more information than only names. So what is the idea now? The idea to move forward is to add at least like the address of the cafe, the price, if it's like expensive, affordable, the rate, and one link on the Google Maps where the people can click and open the link. And in the end, we can also add maybe an image, right? So, okay, let's move forward on that. Then I also collected the address, the price I'm going to guess, and rate as well. So let's then use the another tag here in each div, the tag that Kisho showed to us already, which is the P, which stands for paragraphy, okay? And the first one, we are going to add the address. So this one, I'm going to add the address. And people, don't worry, we are going to share this code in the end of the class. So the idea is to you get only the idea and not to copy here. Okay. So the price, the rate, and then in the end, I'm going to add the click button to the Google Maps of this cafe. And if you remember the tag of the link, it's the A tag, and we can add like a text, like a map, because when the customer clicks, it should open a map of the page, right? So yeah, let's do the same of another ones. So I have a code here. I'm just going to copy to make it quickly. I think it is love. No, it's not Lavinda. Is this one? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Oh, I add in the wrong place. So sorry. Just to let's copy here. Here is the title. Here, by the way, we can add something like another paragraph and information, like discover the finest cafes in Poznan. Okay, so here is the first cafe with the information. Here's the second one. Let me just copy also here and add the map. So far, we don't have a clickable map, but we will. Write the tasse and also copying here that I have. And the last one, it's this Cacao Republic. Right. Good. And the map. So that's it. Let me close here, by the way, just to have more information. So yeah, pretty much it. We have like this body with Poznan Café's title, like a div with H1 and paragraphes, and each new div we have one cafe, right? I'm clicking here in this arrow just to show you that each one it's kind of a box that we have here. So let me save and run it just to show to you it running. Yeah, so that's it. It's a little bit better, but still like not that fancy. Okay, so like Poznan cafes, discover the Poznan cafes, and like this one, and you see like the map is connected to another tag. So we needed to add some uh, styles to improve this view. And the map, if you see there, we cannot click on the map. Let's add the clickable way, clickable feature first. So for this like lavanda cafe and lunch, if we go here, the internet, and we search for them, let me see if you can see. You can see. You can, as you see, we have then here. If we click on map, they are showing here on map. Yeah. So I'm going to get their link, the map link, and we need to add the link here. So if I do something like this, a plain text, it will not working, right? Like it's not clickable. So to make it clickable, we need to use the attribute inside a tag, the href, and put it inside. So yeah, so let me refresh and then now it's clickable. So if the customer clicks, it will go to the directly to the map of this place. Good, good so far. Yeah. Let me then, just to move forward, apply the same for all of them because we don't have too much time and the concept it's now clear, right? So yeah, I'm copying this one, then the another one that I have here. Good. Good, so far so good. Let me check if it's working. All of them, there is a maps, and if we click, this one should open Cacao Republic. Let's see. Yeah, it's here. Yeah, my Google Maps is in Portuguese, by the way, but yeah, good, it's working. So let me then start to do some live in our code. We have like the structure of the code, it's pretty much good. So let me just to improve a little bit. So for each cafe, my plan is to add an image as well. So then we are going to use the image tag also presented by Kish already. So I have the images of these cafes. We can also copy the image. Let me show you actually one way to do that. Start debugging. Okay, let me click here. We kind of like copy this image. If we click like with the right uh, button of your mouse, like copy image address. If I open a new tab and paste here, you see like the image is here. So we can do this here. So let me then add the image tag and the source equals to that image that I copied. Let me close it. Good. So let's run. And see here, the first image, it's not, again, it's not like 3D, but the image is there. So our focus, primary focus, it's, it's already done. So good. Let me do to this another one. I also have some links already separated. Let me check where I added. I have another monitor, that's why I'm looking in different screens. So yeah, just doing like a copies to move a little bit fast. Yeah, this one it's. And before you ask, like, why do we are seeing like this red information by this kind of warning by VS Code? This is because VS Code is asking to we add like out attribute because like our pages, if we have like a out attribute, we can help also people with some kind of disease, like people like that, not that, like people blind. If we do, if we improve our structure of HTML, we able like programs to read the HTML and read and like present to him that there is an image there because people cannot see. So I'm going to show you even the error moving out as long as we add it. Okay. So yeah. So we added all, but they were like this warning is not a error, it's a warning stands. Let me show that it's not a error because it's still here and all of the images is here as well. So yeah, good. But then let me add this tag here in the end. So out tag. And here we can do something like image of, and you see like the error here disappear. Let me also add some two properties here, two attributes. One is like width with 100 and another 8 with 100. We can do it directly on the CSS style, but we can do here as well. So let me set all of them here. I'm just going to change the name, image of blah, 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 as well as here and here. I just need to change the names. Good, good, good. Okay, let's run it and see our a little bit improved page. Good, not that bad, not that bad. We have, we are starting to see something at least, right? So yeah, what we are going to do now. I would like to my image be in one separated from all of this text. So let me then to wrap this text inside one another div. I'm going to do on all of the cafes for sure. So just like a div like that, and then here as well. And like, why I'm doing that? If you ask, like, Paulo, why are you doing that? This is like, it's not. This is my visual approach. I wanted to do that because I'm structuring my code, my HTML, to then I apply some styles that might be easy to move, like the image from one side, the text from another side. So I basically wrapping them. So Div it's perfect to wrap content inside, right? So this is the why, not a rocket science. Usually HTML, CSS is not a rocket science. Simple, and how you do this, how you add or remove some divs, tags is more like up to you. Just like be aware to follow some rules. Like this out, it's not a rule, but it's a nice guideline. So yeah, let's then run it again. And okay, no changes so far, no problem, because we like didn't uh, create styles CSS. So it's like a pure HTML, and it's not that bad, right? Like it's not that pretty, but not that bad. So now what we are going to do, it's basically moving forward on the style. So like Ikisho said, let me then open the style tag here on the top, like inside of head. We can do it here, but it's better do here. Also, in the future, it's not even good to do like to write here, but have another file with CSS and you import or we import these here just to like separate the concepts. But for now, it's pretty much good to add here. Okay, so how we are going to start? Let me first like define for all of the body tag one font that will be used for all of the body tags. So to do that, I can like just type body, open and close braces, and add like font. You see, I have options here already by my my editor, my test editor, VS Code. So I'm going to add like font family, and I'm going to pick up one, maybe the classical Arial. Okay, so Arial, and then a second one, Helvetica and Sans Serif. And let's see it running. Let me run, improve a little bit, right? It's interesting because if I do something like font size, like Ikisho showed to us, and say something uh, yeah, medium. And if I rerun, let me refresh and see, uh, not effect for medium. Let me try something like 1000 pixels. And yeah, look, the font family, it's a little bit crazy. Let me change it to 100. Okay, also crazy. So yeah, because basically what I'm saying, what it's the HTML applying here, the style is saying, hey, for all of the body, so everything inside body, apply this font size. So bro, crazy font size. This is not our idea. Let's keep as is this way. So far, so good. For now, it's good. Okay. So let me start then to add some styles on our page. Let's begin from this title, like Poznan Cafés and the description. To do that, I'm going to add starting to add some classes in the in our body, in our like not the body, sorry, in our divs. I'm going to start to name some divs in order to have to apply the styles on the place that I want to do. The first thing that I'm going to do is to create one div outside, and I'm going to give a name of this div, so class equals to content, because everything that will go in here will be a content of this div. And I wanted to add all of the cafes in the text here. So I don't changing that much. I just creating like the inside the body, I created like a div with the name content and wrapping all of the information inside. And for this Poznan Cafés, I'm going to add another class where I'm going to name it title, because this is the title for my page. While for each div, each cafe div, I'm going to add like another class calling like cafe container. So all of them, I'm going to add this. And for these details, I'm going to add like cafe details. Good. And I need to replicate for all of the cafes pages. So here, let me actually copy first the all of cafes. Yes, and then the details one. That's good. That's good. Okay. So far, it will not have effect because I'm not using. I'm just like creating these names. I'm just naming, but I'm not doing nothing. Not applying like styles, something like I'm just doing the names. So to start, I'm going to take this one, the title, open like braces, and starting up, going to do a style for this. So for example, the max width that I wanted to add here would be like 600 pixels. While margin, which is like the margin that I wanted to have around of this div, I will add something like 20, 20 pixels to up because it's going to move down a little bit, and to around I'm adding auto, like the automatic one. Good. Let me see it running. Oh, I already have it here. Okay. So you see like the change, we can see the Poznan, which is like here, it moved a little bit from the right. I can also do something like text align to center. I'm going to align this to the center. So good, now it's better. I'm aligning the Poznan cafes in the center. Just to show you a little bit, one important thing, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to add in this margin, oh, I don't think it's margin. I'm going to, in the border, just to show you where is the div. I'm going to add like one pix solid red, because I just want to show you where is this div. So you see like, this is like the square that we have. When I do something like this, text align center, like it's showing like the square is here, and then I align it inside the square, the text in the center. If I remove, for example, something like this, This is just a comment that I'm adding. Let me remove it better to not confuse you. You see, it goes like it goes back to the left corner. So I'm getting it back because with this margin, it's saying, hey, move it 20 pixels to there, like to the right. This is basically the left side. The another one is auto because I'm saying that it's auto. But if I add like 0, 0, 0, it will do nothing. Oh, I lost my. Okay. It should behave like I needed to think. Uh, yeah, actually not. I think it is doing almost the same like that. Sorry, I remember what is my mistake. When I'm doing the margin, the CSS margin, what it does. Let me see if I can check. Style CSS margin, just to show to you. Yeah, here is the example. Like what it's doing. When I added that property, the first one, the 20 pixels is the top. The second one, it's the right. The 31 is bottom, and then the last one is left. So when I say auto, it's just saying, hey, move on top 20 pixels, and the last one put on automatic one on how it better. So it's pretty much it. So yeah, let's keep in this way. Right. So and let's remove this. But it's useful to you debug doing something like this. Okay, usually useful. So yeah, now let's apply this kind of same for all of these containers, for all of these cafes containers. So we have like a cafe container, and then cafe container. This is the names. Yeah, and let's apply some uh, the same for all of them. Let's say that the max width will be 600 pixels because we wanted to have like that size on the page. By the way, it's not good to use pixels anymore because of it's not my point is not that bad, but knowing that nowadays a lot of people access your site by different screens, like different smartphones, tablets, and so on. The pixels usually it's like very hard coded, and you want the better idea. It's not choose pixels, but using something like that will fit on different screens. Sometimes we use like percentage, sometimes we use uh, something that's more proportional. But so far, using this way is not bad. But while you are getting more used on how to do styles, you will see that's not that good. But yeah, let's keep moving forward. Let's use the same approach as we use it here for margins. And doing this, our pages will be like kind of the same. You see, it's kind of the same. So yeah, let's keep moving forward. And let me uh, maybe add some border also here, but putting it more beautiful. So like 1 pixel for border for that like the core the thing around solid and add something like gray maybe gray. It's not that bad. And we can also let me actually see. Yeah, you see, like this is the borders. We can also do something like use another property called border radius because it is going to change the radius of the border and add like 8 pixels as a border radius. And you see, like it's more circle around. For now, it's good. Uh, yeah, and for the image, for this uh, image that we have here, we can also add some style. How can I do a style image? There is basically two ways. I can use what we call selectors, meaning that I'm going to get the cafe container and saying that I wanted to reach out to the image. This is one way to apply the style. This is a selector, so basically on inside cafe container all of images. And another one, it's also to add a class here in the image, like something, oh sorry, something like that. Class and call like cafe image, and I can do something like that, cafe image. There is two ways, but let's first use a selector only because then I don't need like to code a lot inside of this structure. And for image, I'm going to add one thing called float left. Why I'm doing that? Because my plan is to put like the image in one side and the text in another side. So the float left will do that for us. And the margin, I also plan to add some margin here. Let me focus only on margin right, in the right, and adding this as a 20 pixels, for example. Let's see how it's going to look like. Good, it's better. You see now the images is all on the left and the text is starting to be on the right. It's not that bad so far. Uh, and here in the cafe details, we can also add something like cafe details. By the way, I can also use the selectors here. I can do something like this. This is the same as this. And let me add this overflow hidden. So I'm moving all of the text now to the right. Good. Yeah, so we have like kind of our first Poznan Cafés page here. What we can do also is thinking about something like create some margins for for this text. We can do like margin 10 pixels. Let's see. So yeah, the text is not uh, like touching the sides, right? I can also do in the image instead of margin right. How about if I do something like that? It's just margin and 10 pixels. Let's see. So you see the image is now not touching as well. It's not that bad, right? So yeah, we have like a kind of our first page with some of CSS style. So what we can do, we can like go deep and apply more styles here, improving that. Or we can use one thing that we call like a CSS frameworks, where they have like a lot of already built uh, solutions, boilerplate solutions. And we are going to use one famous called Bootstrap. Like it's nowadays is one of the biggest famous CSS framework we can say. And to use this in our page, we just import it. It's the same as like a libraries where you saw when we are coding in Python, that libraries that we saw there so far, but it's for CSS. And how can we import this? Now this is a new tag. We import using like this link and which ref with the link of CSS here. We add the CSS here. But before we need to say which kind of thing we wanted to link. And we are saying that we wanted to link the style sheet, in that we wanted to link the style here. And we basically close the tag. It's just that. It will not work because we are not adding a link of CSS link. So I have one here, but we can also look for one in the internet. So this is the link of one that I have here. But you can get in this link in the site of Bootstrap. So yeah, so I applied this, and now it's with Bootstrap link. If I remove, let me remove. Let's see if we can see the difference. So far, doesn't look like we have the difference, but we can have if we use. Actually, I think we will not see the difference. Let me save again. You see, like the link, it's if we the map, it's with wonder, it's underscore inside. The text is also not that good, and just to applying it and refreshing, you can see that it improved a lot. Even the text and that. It also improved the way where it is going to behave on the smartphone. So here I'm basically simulating, for example, iPhone, basically simulating it here. So it's getting better, not perfect, but better. So yeah, and we can use some styles from this this bootstrap already. So let me think, for example, for this map, I wanted to have a button instead of this just a link. So I can do something like in this H here, I can add like class, just adding btn, which is a button inside, defined already in Bootstrap. And if I refresh, it's starting to show a button. Still not that good because I didn't use one, which kind of button I wanted to use. And then I'm going to use this one, btn primary, and refreshing it. You see, like the better button. You can ask me like, hey, Paulo, what, like, how do you know that this button it's pretty like that? I basically know because of the Bootstrap documentation. Bootstrap btn primary, for example. I'm getting here, you see, like this is the documentation of the Bootstrap. So I used this one primary, but I can use like success, you see? So let me replace, instead of use primary, let me use btn success. So here, btn success. And let's see it's behaving here. You see, it's green now. So in the documentation, you have like a lot of styles that you wanna use, and you just add them, and that's it. Like it's already built. You don't need to do a lot of things. It's already you don't need like to create by yourself all of the styles. You can use some nicer styles already built. So let me then replace all of them here. Good, good. And let me refresh. Good. We have the better, as you can see, like buttons here, right? What else? What else like we can do? We can do a lot of things using this framework. Uh, so my suggestion is to you navigate here and see what you can do. So for example, navibars. It's showing like these links, how we can create like the top nav bars, search input and button, and yeah, like cards. We can create like these cards also. Instead of creating the same as we did, we can use a card. So let me try to add like a card here instead and see how it's going to behave. Like, so you see, like the implementation is better, but the card like forcing the test to go down. But then we can see like this is a common card. They are saying if you create, it will behave like that. We can use a different ones. And to do that, you can just like navigate on the features here on the documentation and see this working. Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to take too much time on that, but I just going to present to you one another page that we already did using, I think that we used also a bootstrap, and we are going to share to you. Let me just run it. No, let me copy here. I'm going to create a new one, like new page.html. Good. The structure is pretty much the same, but there is more code. I'm going to paste here. So I paste it. You see, like the structure is the same. The boilerplate is there, the head is here, the body is here as well. So inside the body, we have the container as well, but we have a lot of classes, because what I wanted to show to you here, we use a lot of here, we use a lot of features from Bootstrap, much more from Bootstrap than by our own. So if I run this page, you will see our cafes much more prettier. You see, like you can also see these icons. So we the Bootstrap also has icons. So we use it all of them, and the page looks better than the one that we built it by ourselves. But like we also build here by ourselves, but we use a lot of the structure from Bootstrap. So for example, this icon, let me get back to our older page and let me add the icon here. So this is the, the icon. I just copy it. Let me run it. It's not showing. Maybe I'm forgetting to import something. Let me see. It might be wrapped on something. Yeah, I will not remember now, but I'm going to share to you the code of the one that we made by ourselves here and the another one that we did completely. But so far, what I wanted that you understand, it's like this thing you can do everything that you wanna do. It's just a matter of you structure the code first, as we did, and then you apply the style. You can change everything just by changing the style. So this is something that you people need to be to this one need to be clear in your mind, right? So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. Like I said, we are going to share further the code that we built. And for our last class, that's it. If you don't have questions, I think we can, Vini and Kisho, if you are here, you can join in our conversation and we can close our today's class. You are muted.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm adding Kisho as well here to the chat. So I think was very good to have everyone that was watching, and very good to host you guys. Last considerations to be able to finish this as our first online classes on the model that you guys bring it to everyone. I believe to teach a lot of people that you can achieve everything that you want through the knowledge, and sharing that with everyone, I believe, was a great success. So, last considerations, guys.
Good. From my side, the last consideration, it's like to be a software engineer, uh, you need to get your hands dirty. This is the point. But to get your hands dirty in the way where, uh, like code, practice. It's like it's also a kind of sport. Coding is kind of sport. If you while you practice, you get used. So my consideration is like doesn't matter if you wanna work as a front end developer, back end developer, more infra side. All of these roles you need to practice and yeah to get used. And nowadays we have like a lot of materials around of the internet. So to practice also you should go on the internet, go on the official documentations actually, and get information from that, right? So this is like my consideration. And sometimes you will get stuck, but just keep moving forward and you will see like that it's more easy than you think. So yeah, that's it. Thank you people for also engage. And I know that like the last week of the year, I know that all of you might be tired. We are tired as well. But yeah, we also will keep in touch for the further questions that you might have. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, from my side, maybe Paulo covered everything. Maybe something else that I might add in there is that no, I can't predict the future. But you might hear from a lot of people that AI is gonna take all the tech jobs, etc., etc. AI can help a lot, and I believe that it will change the way that we work drastically. But having technical skill is going to set you apart from the rest of the population by a huge amount. There is so many people out there who don't know what you just studied: HTML, CSS, Python, right? All of this gives you an edge. Whether AI exists or not, it doesn't matter, right? What you have, if you continue to study along this path, is a skill that can never be replicated. And it will put you in a position where you're able to adapt to more technical changes efficiently, right? So if AI is going to start changing the world tomorrow, or let's say next year, and you start studying tech today, you're going to have 1 year's start against everybody else who's going to start after you. So learning technical skills, it doesn't have to be HTML, CSS, or whatever. It can be anything technical, right? Learning hard skills is never going to be something that's going to like push you down. It's always going to be an advantage. It's always going to, give you that edge over everybody else who might be in the market. So don't worry too much about it. If I had to say about AI and all of these things, I think it's a fantastic resource, because when we were trying to learn, we had to either Google everything or try to find someone who knew better than us who could teach us. But right now, you got a personalized AI mentor that can tell you where your code is going wrong. So use AI to help you and not to scare you, right? If you got problems, ask the AI. No worries. So yeah, think of it as a learning tool and not something to be scared of. And yeah, just get your hands dirty. Nothing can beat coding by yourself. Watching thousands of tutorials will do nothing unless you code yourself.
Okay, guys, just to finish, we have one question from Ayomidi. She asked, but I'm curious, how can I publish this as an official website? I believe that should be covered in the next future classes, right? But we maybe can give some points where they can find this kind of information.
Sure. Yeah, that is a lot of ways actually. And guys, like feel free also to jump, but like usually you need to like to have to rent, I can say rent like a server, and you will store your code there. Basically that. Imagine like this simple HTML that we did, we call this like a static uh, uh, code. So meaning that you don't need to have like a Python running or PHP or blah blah blah. You just need to have a server that will serve this HTML. So you can like rent one space, configure the link of your website, which is a DNS. It's a little bit, it's not complicated, but it's too much information here. But basically, rent a server, configure the name servers, like the name of your site, and start the code there. That's pretty much it. The famous like servers that you can rent, like AWS, it's a famous one. Also, Microsoft Azure, DigitalOcean. There is a lot of nowadays. There is also the small ones. Most of them are paid, but you can also find some for free if it's like this kind of a code. There is a lot of for free. For sure, Kisho and Marcus, they know all of them. So I would like that you two also jump in and give some names that we have. But sure, we can share in the future, like next year, if we do the classes again, we can teach how to do it. But this is pretty much the answer on your question. Do you wanna, Kishu or Vini, get also like add
I
something?
think like what would be good is we created some series about putting the website on. So if people feels very interested on that, they can also I believe maybe set some comments, like the videos, and then we will know better what they want, and then we can share this kind of information in the future. It's not difficult, and also explain step by step how they can do it and how they will be able to do that.
Good, perfect. Thank you,
So,
people.
thank you very much, people. And goodbye. If you have any questions, send in the group. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.